You are the magic. And you always have been.
I am so excited to introduce you to my guest today, my good friend, Annie Whitney. She is a business consultant and the creator of the Anomaly brand methodology, which is designed to help founders build exceptional brands that stand apart in saturated markets. Drawing from her background in corporate leadership and scaling high performance teams, more about that in just a little bit, alongside building her own multi six figure brand, Annie teaches founders how to move beyond content and visibility tactics and instead become the reference point their industry organizes around. And she is an absolute icon, one of my most favorite discoveries in the coaching industry, and just a gem of a human. So, thank you, Annie, so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This has been a long time coming, and I'm just happy to chit chat with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we just need like a glass of champagne and a pool in front of us, and it just feels like a regular day.
Oh, perfect. I think that I see that in our near future in 2026. I'm being very intentional about any events that I travel to, but I have a feeling our paths are going to cross in real life soon.
Yes. Yes. Awesome. Well, your bio tells us a little bit about your achievements and the incredible things that you have already done. Um, but tell me, what are a couple of your achievements that you're most proud of? And maybe they're not the ones that people would assume, but that you specifically are most proud of.
I would say one of the traits, which I promise will lead into more explicit details that I'm most proud of, is really my tenacity and my grit. Like, I am relentless in the pursuit of my dreams. Some would call me stubborn in the pursuit of my own dreams. I'm not stubborn about much, but it's my tenacity, relentlessness, and grit. And so, something that I'm really proud of is I won second place in a half marathon 10 months postpartum. And that in it itself is a feat, right? The fact winning anything, winning any place in a race. And that was never my goal. My goal was how much better can I get? It's all about the journey, right? And this race, I showed up at the start line and it was tsunami weather. I live in the Midwest, so it wasn't a true tsunami, but it was raining, pouring rain, sideways, like 30 something degrees, freezing cold. Probably half of the people didn't show up. And I remember being at like mile 13, I had to wade through water that went up to my thighs. So I was soaking wet and I just kept running. It was like one foot in front of the other. I wanted to quit so many times. And wait, I said second place. I won first place this race, first place female. And
Oh
I
my gosh.
remember crossing the finish line and just keeling over and then seeing my husband and going to recover, and some other woman comes up to me and she's like, you know that you won first place female. I was like, no, how? And she's like, did you see anyone else when you were running? I was like, I guess not. And so really that was one of the things that it's like that's not what I set out to do. I'm not setting out to be the best. I'm setting out to be exceptional. And I think that that's such a representation of what I stand for, which is just like how good can it get? And that good and growth and evolution was not comfortable, but just showing myself postpartum especially that like you can do things for yourself. You can find yourself again in motherhood. And so that's something I'm very very proud of. And then I'm happy to tell you a little bit more on the business side of some of the things I have a lot of pride in. And they're not always like the big money wins and whatnot. But I think another of the things that I am most proud of is really I got in the online space. Perfect segue here with run coaching. And so I first showed up and was like, I bet more moms. I got certified as a run coach after that. And I have my own run coach of 10 years. And I was like, I just want to learn. I want to learn about that for myself. And I started coaching some friends, word of mouth, referrals. I brought it online. I created a PDF for, women that maybe couldn't afford one-on-one work. And I scaled that to multi five figures in a matter of very short time. And that kind of organically led into this brand and this business because people were asking me, what are you doing? Why is that so successful? And so when I came into this online space, something that in hindsight I can't believe I did, but it's like one of those things like, but of course you did, is everyone was telling me, Annie, you need to burn the boats. Like, if you want to do this business, you need to quit your VP role. Like, you can't work at a high growth health tech startup and do this. And part of me part of me was like listening and I felt shame that I wasn't quote unquote burning the boats. But what I really ended up doing was redefining burning the boats and going all in, because no one could look at the work that I actually do behind the scenes on this business and and ask my clients and think for a second I'm not full fucking send on this business. But I have scaled this business and it's not about the income and the clients impacted. It's like I've done this and redefined what it looks like to go all in while getting promoted twice up into VP, scaling a team of 15 in my corporate VP role, and this. And so that is one of the things I'm most proud of. And I say pressure is a privilege all the freaking time. And that's how I feel in terms of like my capacity and what I have here.
I love that. Pressure is a privilege. And it so is. That's just so accurate and such a good reminder that like we pray for more, right? Like we pray for more opportunity, more growth, more leadership, more impact, more influence. And with that comes pressure. But what a privilege it is to feel that, because that means that we're getting everything that we pray for.
Yes. And it's like, a lot of people talk about capacity, like, Annie, how do you do it all? And I remember a time when I wasn't regulated where I felt really overwhelmed. And it was like the plate spinning. Like you can kind of visualize that, where I had a corporate meeting with my leadership team. I had clients pinging me. My kid was homesick and I felt like overwhelmed. And in that moment, I was like, you chose all of this. Like, the pressure is a privilege. And so it's like this perspective shift of, yeah, it doesn't mean it doesn't feel like a lot. But when we look at capacity as something that we get to be the conductor of, where I actually don't have to hold it, I'm conducting this life. It's like I'm the conductor of my orchestra. It feels lighter just with that like mindset shift.
Yeah. 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 Cause it's like so, it would be so easy to look at it and be like, this is so hard. This is so much. I can't do this. This is not what I prayed for. And it really actually is. But we have to be able to hold all that we are asking for. And I think that's such an interesting concept, because I think that whenever we're in the place of wanting it, we sometimes feel like I'm doing all the right things. I'm like taking the steps and putting one foot in front of the other. But if you don't have the capacity to hold it yet, that's whenever like that I feel like that's the sticking point for so many people. And I've experienced that. And I feel like that's part of the growth process, is expanding that capacity to be able to hold more.
Agreed. And I think it's one of those things where I've been there before too, right? Before I had this, level of awareness. And I've always thought of myself as someone with really high EQ, but it's like that evolves too alongside my capacity. And I think there's been times where I've white knuckled and been like, why don't I have this thing? And then in hindsight, it's like, honey, you had to walk through these lessons yourself to be able to hold that level of responsibility in your business, in your life, whatever that thing may be, and just gratitude for being able to walk through that. And that's something that I often open my clients up to. It's like, you're going through this right now so that you can walk someone else through this and they don't have to feel this level of maybe pain or hardship that you're feeling right now. And so it's like, how can we alchemize this? And it's not like in a toxic positivity way where everything's happening for me, but I really do believe that. It's like there's hard shit that I know is happening for me.
Absolutely. I got certified to teach yoga last fall, and um there's these principles, the yamas and niyamas, and they're like the ethics of yoga, and like living the yoga, not just on your mat, but like yoga as a lifestyle. And one of the niyamas is tapas. And it means to sit in the fire and like to feel the fire that changes you, the fire of transformation. And I feel like for a really long time, I would feel that fire and I would run in the other direction. And through all of the different fires that I have sat in building this business, I've realized that's where the magic happens. That's where growth happens. That's where change happens, is in that discomfort. And so then I got to the point that I would seek out that discomfort. And it was like, how uncomfortable can I be and stay in it, not run away? Because I know that on the other side of that is everything that I'm praying for. But you have to go through that trial or test or lesson or whatever it is to be able to be on the other side. Like there's no around or over or under, like you have to go through it. And I think that that is such a great reframe whenever you're in the fire to know
Mhm.
that like there's a purpose for it. And again, like not toxic positivity and saying like, oh, everything happens for a reason, because I actually don't believe that. I think that's bullshit that people tell you who have never been through what you're going through. Um,
Exactly.
but
I know
I
that
think,
feeling.
yeah, yeah, but I think that you can make meaning of any situation, of any tragedy, of any trial, test, whatever you want to call it. Um, so I love that like you have that perspective of making it mean something.
Exactly. And it's like I got full body goosebumps when you were just talking about that. And I think I'm reading The Surrender Experiment right now. Have you read it before?
Uh,
It's so good, and it's not about like not caring, it's just surrendering to what's happening, where it's like we can't always control. And as human beings, we seek to really want to white knuckle control. And I remember probably like 2 years ago where one of my mentors asked me, how can you take yourself to the edge? And it's like, I'm not scared of anything. And it was like, I was just blinded. And now it's like when I feel and experience fear, it's just like, ooh, I see that as a green light. It's like, how uncomfortable can I get? Because I know it's like I'm addicted to it in a very positive way, where it's like, I know that this discomfort is where the other side, it's like the phoenix rising, right? It's like what's going to come out of me, of like who I get to become on the other side of this. And it's just, that is why growth has happened so quickly for me, is because there's been so much of that over the course of the last year or 2 years.
mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. Like it's like once you figure that out, then you're like, okay, this is how we make it happen. How can I seek that out and how can I like be in that discomfort faster so that I can like get to the other side. And not that we don't want to like skip over the lesson, but we don't run away from it anymore either.
Exactly. It's like we run towards the lesson knowing what's for us, when maybe before there was avoidance there of I know what I need to do. Because I think a lot of people, a lot of clients I work with, they know what they need to do, but they're looking for the way around or the way over. And it's like the only way out is through, honey. Like you gotta like endure some of this. It's like a diamond being formed, right? It's like you have to endure the pressure to get to the other side, to get the gemstone.
Yeah. Yeah. And pressure is a privilege.
It all comes back to pressure as a privilege.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so tell us a little bit about like your um I don't know. I want to say like your big girl job.
My big
Like
girl job. We can call it that. My boss babe job. No,
yeah.
so my entire background is in healthcare. And I spent time deviating from healthcare, but I was pre-med and always interested, like my mission. And it's interesting how like there's these golden threads of a through line in everything that I do, but my mission really has been about service, about providing choice to patients, providing choice to women, providing choice to people and humans, period, where maybe previously there wasn't choice. And so I will spare you a lot of the. I was pre med in college, and then I got worked for an orthopedic surgeon as a patient care specialist. I learned the back end operations of a really big office, and then I'm someone that the way that I do things, it's like you got to do it the right way. It's like a level of mastery, and it's like I can't teach you until I really know this. And so I went and got my MBA, and during that time, I helped scale a student run consulting firm. I scaled a wine sales business, which I know you'll be interested in, from 100K revenue to 500K in a year. And so I was doing this during my MBA. And then from there, I'll fast track it. A lot of my background was in healthcare consulting for big health systems, for care access to patients, improving their access to care. I worked on some major Fortune 500 brands. I deviated in some of my consulting, firsthand worked on Kellogg's and Duracell Battery and their financial transformation. So my breadth of experience is very broad and wide, which is why business consulting comes so naturally to me. And so what I'm doing right now is I've been here for 5 years, and it's a health tech startup. I oversee and have scaled a team of operations, and we really hold the key to our entire network for our company. And so I oversee thousands of hospitals and health systems across the nation. and have scaled this team in the course of 5 years. I think I said that. And so, really, one of the big things that I do there is systems, scaling, operations, pattern recognition, problem solving, and coaching. I am an executive coach inside of my company. And so, a lot of people are like, how do you do it? And it's like, it's the same, but different. And because I'm so passionate about both of the missions, it's like this mirror where I get better here, it just makes me better here. And so I don't think if I wasn't madly in love with my team and my job, I couldn't make this work. Like I can't do things I'm not passionate about. And so the fact that it's such a beautiful mirror, it's like it's just made both of them amplified so much quicker.
Yeah, that is so cool. I love just your whole story. And I love that. I think whenever we start our own business, you have to like stay in your big girl job for a while, but most people don't stay because they love it. They stay because they have to. And I feel like you really
Mhm.
are just so passionate about the work that you're doing, and you can feel that whenever you talk about it. And so I love that, you're not like shitting on your big girl job and trying to run as fast as you can into like being full time in your business. You really do love being in both.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I grappled with that for a while. Like I gave my power away and was like, yeah, I'm gonna quit this as quickly as possible. And I didn't slow down to ask myself, wait, do you want to quit this? Like, money aside, right? Is this what you desire? And when I asked myself that, the answer at the time was no. And I think ultimately that's my goal. And I'm no longer moving the goalpost. It's like, I believe in the next like 12 to 18 months, that is my ideal is hi puppy. My ideal is that I do quit eventually, but I want to leave like a good name for myself. I want to leave my team in a really good place. Like how much I've done for this company and what we're doing, like it's innovation, it's incredibly innovative. And so I want to make sure that I'm leaving that in a good place and that I leave, that reputation, that known factor behind in this industry and that I really am set up to scale this business. And so I agree with you. I think a lot of people either are trying to get out of corporate because they're really unhappy. And it's like what they end up doing is just building their business inside the walls of corporate and it's like the handcuffs are still there. And so, really coming from this place of like, okay, when I quit my corporate job, my business right now, I take like one call a week. It's my mastermind call every week. And I sometimes have a mastermind that I join. And so if you look at my schedule, on average, I have probably two calls in my entire business every week. The white space is going to be wild. And I know that I will fill that with other passions and things just because of who I am. But I just know that I'm actually designing this for me versus building exactly what I've experienced over here.
Yeah. I think that's so, so true that, a lot of times we unintentionally end up building the same thing that we're running from because that's what we know. Um, I kind of have a little experience with that.
I mean,
And
it's not to shame ourselves, right? But it's like, it's easy to do that.
yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And, um, you know, the first time you build a business is the first time that you've ever built a business and you've never done it before. So of course you're going to find things that you wish that you would have done differently or that you could have done differently or you're going to change in the future. But I love that for you that you are building so intentionally and not from a place of like I just have to get out of here, because
Mhm.
that gives you the space to have so much more intention. Also, thanks for letting Miss Betty join us here. She
Always. Pups are always welcome, seriously.
she was not taking no for an answer, so she had to come on and say hi.
He's so cute.
So in your role in your business, in your corporate role, in your role as a mom, a wife, what are some of the things that you have found to really be your magic that have been your superpowers? And I feel like a lot of times these are things that don't always fit neatly into the boxes that we are asked to fit into. So tell us a little bit about what you have found that to be.
So I think something that you and I have chatted about before, and I think that we found so much resonance in each other, was the too muchness. And at my live event in January, I gave an entire speech about anomaly factor. And your anomaly factor, as I explain it, is your uncensored decision making lens. And most people are not operating out of an uncensored lens. We've all been conditioned. We're masking all of our brilliance. And it's not usually conscious, right? So much of this happens because we were told from a young age, this is what is respected, this is what's expected. And so we become chameleons as women. And so, I was the best fucking chameleon. And I think this is a gift in some ways, but it also kept me from showing up as my full self. It kept me from being this vivacious, loud spirit that I am. Like, I'm a quirky weirdo. And it kept me from showing this. It was like there was this professional box that I put myself in. And then I'm around friends and they're like, wait, where is this version of Annie? Like, you are fucking hilarious. And it's like they were two separate humans, two separate boxes. And so, transparently, I've been trying to figure out because people meet me in person, they're like, I need more of this. I need more of this. And so I've been trying to figure out how do I balance more of bringing that quirky personality on online when I am a generator and a responder, because it's like I'm responding to someone else with the quirky and the weirdness because I can read energy so well. I can read a room. And so I was chatting about this with you a little bit earlier, but I was diagnosed like 4 months ago with ADHD. And it was like I've known for a year or two that I had it, but I think I wasn't willing to try meds. And so it was like, what's the point? And I feel like I didn't realize that label was going to be more important to me than I anticipated. And it just started, the more you read about it, it just started making so much more sense to me. And so when I think about those traits, it definitely was my too muchness, but how do I double click into what do I mean by that? I think it's a level of like my empathy. I was too sensitive, I was too empathetic. And I think that that is one of my greatest superpowers, but it's also held me back because I've put others before myself and done what's best for them, versus really putting myself first. And that's changed. And I used to be, the biggest people pleaser, the chameleon. And it's like I have such high standards for myself and what I expect of others now that I recognize that that was just like avert. I guess it was a level of like manipulation that I was doing to conform so others would like me. And so I think that too muchness is really in the form of I want to be enough, right? It's the flip side of what you really desire. And so my superpower is that empathy because I can see what someone else needs. I can put myself in anyone's shoes, even if I disagree with them, and I can see what they're feeling. And then I can coach them, then I can provide that feedback to them. But I think that that has been one of the reasons I am where I am in both roles because I'm able to read that human experience, if you will.
Yeah. Okay, so many things that you just said just like hit the nail on the head. I think one, there is like an epidemic of women who are being diagnosed with ADHD in our 30s. I was diagnosed at 33. Um, and I think like whenever you look at the women who are diagnosed in our 30s, we are all high achievers, we are all empaths. Those are like the two things that I see across everyone that I know that has been diagnosed in their 30s. And I think that we are empaths because we spent the first 3 decades of our lives masking who we really were, and we were reading the room constantly to figure out who we needed to be loved, to be accepted, to be quote unquote normal, and to fit in. And whenever I first realized that this was something that I did, so I'm an Enneagram 2, and I remember someone
Same.
telling me, not even surprised. But I remember somebody telling me that twos were really manipulative, and I was like, first of all, fuck you, no, we're not. Like, that's rude. And then I was like, oh wait, I am, but I not in like not in the traditional,
Gaslighty way.
yeah, not in
Hmm.
the traditional sense of the word. Like, we have learned what we have to do to be loved, to be
Hmm.
accepted. And we are really good at shifting into whatever that looks like because that's what we had to do to survive. Like, that, as children, I feel like that's what we had to do to not get in trouble for our too muchness, and as teenagers to not be like the outcast for our too muchness. And it's just so fascinating, like how that evolves into the human that is sitting in front of you now and staring you in the mirror now. um but that is something that I see, like with every woman that I know that's been diagnosed in her 30s, is that empath, and then the ability to be that chameleon, to shift into whatever it is that we need to be, because we were always told that who we really are is not sufficient. She's too much, she's too loud, she's too over the top, her feelings are too big, she's too dramatic, she's too sensitive. And it's like all of those things I feel like come back to neurodivergence. And um, I think because of those things, a lot of us became high achievers, because it was like, okay, if I can score high enough, if I can achieve high enough, if I can do enough, then my too muchness is okay. Like I'll still be loved. And that was like our way of manipulating the situation to be loved and to be okay. um and obviously, like, you are incredibly high achieving and very empathetic, and it's just crazy that there's this whole generation of women who had this experience that no one was fucking talking about
It's
until.
wild to me. It truly is. And it was like all of those traits. What's so interesting as someone that is really self aware, because we have to be, right? And it's so interesting that all of those traits that you name off are like deeply embedded in me. But at the same time, how are we, if we're that self aware, how are we not diagnosed sooner? And that's what's so fucking wild to me, especially as two humans that work with a healthcare background.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know. And I think also, like, once you have that, well, having a healthcare background, like the thought of having a diagnosis
That's
is
true.
very, it was scary for me, because I was
Hmm.
like, once I have this label, what's going to happen? Like that
Hmm.
sticks with you forever. I felt the same way. I was diagnosed with PTSD in, I think it was 2019. It was like shortly after I lost my mom and went through that whole experience. And I remember being like, do not put that in my chart. Do not
Yeah,
put that. And I would not openly talk about that with like a new provider, a new doctor, whoever. Um, because there was like this level of shame of having a diagnosis, because of the system that I knew, like I would be becoming the patient in and no longer like the provider itself. But once you have that, like, I feel like it's so powerful, and it helps make a lot of things make sense. And you feel like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. My brain just works differently.
exactly. And it's like there's this stigma, right, that comes with things. And I think I've learned that whenever I felt a level of discomfort, it like is going back to like taking yourself to the edge, the fear. It's like if I can just say this out loud, if I can just shine a light on it, it's like almost ripping off of the band-aid. It's like you can know me as that, but I'm going to redefine what that means for me. And that's kind of been always my way of coping with a level of I feel this shame. It doesn't feel good in my body. So I'm going to speak it out loud, and you can react however you want, but like we're going to redefine it of what this means for me. And so I think that that's kind of been my perspective of I already have these incredible coping mechanisms. Like I am I am as calm and regulated as I appear, and there's no actual hiding of all of the things going on, which is surprising for someone with ADHD, but it's like I've had to work really fucking hard to get here. It's where part of my running came from. It's where my literally daily meditation came from. Eating well, sleeping, like all of these things. But even just the year or two before my daughter was born, my oldest daughter, like I had one fourth of what I have on my plate right now. And if anyone had asked me how I was doing, it was some version of busy as a badge of honor. Like, I'm so busy. It was just like things are not good. And yeah, I was busy, but it's like, gosh, I wish I could go back and tell my younger self everything I know now, and that is all going to be okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that version of yourself, the year before you had your daughter, what would you tell her?
What would I tell her? So I was working in consulting and I was commuting on the train every day. And I was probably working, 8-hour days at work and then getting home with dinner and then working again. And I was traveling 4 days every week. So I would fly out on Monday to like Corpus Christi, Texas to some health system, or it just depended. And I think I would tell that person that, like, that version of me, if you will, that, hey, we can slow down. We can slow down and the wheels won't fall off. And even if they do, you're going to figure it out. And that you don't have to keep moving to be okay, that you can stay still for a little bit here and that trust yourself. Look where you are right now. Be proud of where you are. Because I think I had this, what we talked about, this proving thing where it was like, got to get promoted, got to do well at this job. And it was never a level of presence I didn't experience. And it was like, just look around, look how good you actually have it right now. It's marrying the man of my dreams. I had my dream puppy. We were dual income, no kids. Like I was living large. And it's like my happiness was almost a facade. If you had asked me then if I was happy, I would have said yes. But now at this level of happiness, I'm like, oh, honey, you don't know how good it can get. It's like what I say all the time, like, universe, more, thank you more. And it's like, how good can it fucking get? And I was like, it's going to get so much better.
Yeah. Mm, I love that. And I love that like you have the awareness now and that you recognize that like you don't have to be always in motion. You don't have to be like you get to be proud of where you are right now. You can always be striving, you can always be growing, you can always be evolving, but like you get to be proud of where you are right now. And I think especially for like high achieving neurodivergent women, that's a like profound discovery for us that
Yes, it's one thing to even say it. It's another to put that into reality, like put that into motion, if you will. Is
yeah,
like, yeah, what does that look like? How do you actually sit and revel in it right now and be appreciative right now? And it's like a daily gratitude practice of look what you have now you didn't have even 3 months ago. Like, can we sit and celebrate and enjoy this?
yeah, yeah. I Kim actually challenged me to write down something that I was proud of for myself, like something that I had done every single day and try and make it different every single day because there's so much that we have to be proud of. But it's like we normalize it and just move on and forget, like, it's actually a big fucking deal that you did that. And that's not the norm. And that's not what everyone else is doing. And you should be proud of it because we're just like, check onto the next, check onto the next.
I resonate so much with that. Um I remember I actually started working with Kim 18 months ago. And one of the first conversations we had was about that race I shared was that, oh, I did this and that. She's like, hold up. Like, can we celebrate that? And I was like, yeah, it's just like a race. At that time, I wasn't that proud. And so it's like, it's taken, I think, high achieving women, period, but high achieving neurodivergent women, period. That is what I see. That's a pattern that I see in my own clients time and time again, which is like, I've done all these things. It's like check, 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 check. It's like, of course I did it. I always get what I want. It's like, that's not normal. By the way, that's far from fucking normal. And that's what I call the anomaly. It's like deviating from the standard. You are exceptional. Can you own it? And so, how far I've come to be like, yeah, I am fucking incredible, but not from this way of like, I'm better than anyone else, but like, look at what you've built. Look at all of the hardships that you've walked through and fire that you've walked through. And like, I know you've shared with me some of your own fire, and it's like, and I'm still standing and not just standing, but like I'm a badass. Like, can we just celebrate that? And I think that that is so contagious, right? Is a woman that's reveling in and celebrating her own accomplishments. And it's like, you don't see that often. And I remember something that really stuck with me. I had a client that asked me, like, but what if I'm perceived as bragging? And I'm like, how frequently, or if ever, have you ever seen a woman that was celebrating herself that didn't deserve it? And it's like, yeah, I don't remember if I've ever seen that. And I was like, can we actually flip that on its head and brag so hard that someone says, oh my God, have you seen Annie? It looks like she's bragging. It's like, I'm challenge accepted. And so it's just like, whatever we're so scared of is like usually not going to come true. And even if it does, we can handle it.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, that is, oh, that's so good. one of the things that I have people ask me a lot is like, how do you handle the fear of like showing up online and having people like talk shit about you, or their version of like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, she's bragging. And I'm like, let's say that they do. Then what? You probably go on with your life. Like,
And we'll never know.
yeah, yeah. And like, say that they, I don't like, maybe they like leave you a weird comment, or I don't know, God forbid they have the guts to DM you because the audacity. But like, then what? Like, block them and move on with your
Yeah.
life. It's
Block
okay.
and bless.
Yes, block, bless, and release them. And I think that we build it up to be this like way scarier thing. Like they're gonna go on Instagram Live with a giant megaphone and say horrible things about you. And like, no one's doing that. No, and honestly, if they do, you fucking made it, babe. Like,
That's what I was about to say. It's like you don't get to become known without stirring the pot, without triggering someone, and something in someone. And I think a big part of that is that, like, we are mirrors, right? For what someone has, doesn't have. It's like we're a reflection of that. And so, as someone that was such a chameleon, I think it's like realizing that no matter what you do, it's like I tell my clients, no matter what you do to get everyone to like you, it still won't work. Your too muchness, your too niceness will still piss someone off. So you might as well just be your damn self and then know at least they don't like you for who you are. So fuck them. And so it's like, exactly. And so it's like, you're not even liking the real version of me. So, like, do I have a problem with that? And so I was scared shitless to show my face online and talk online. The first 3 weeks of my running account was pictures of me running without my face, and in the time of the weird faceless accounts, but like it was not in that time. But anyway, it's like then I was like, if you're gonna do this, Annie, you don't do anything half-assed. You just gotta rip the band-aid and do it. And if they're gonna judge you, they're gonna judge you. And that's a lot easier said than done. I recognize that. It's one of those things. But I think it just comes with reps and self-trust and rooting into I know who I am and I love me. And so if they don't love me, like that's their own
yep,
ordeal.
yep. And I think the more self-awareness that I have had through lots of therapy, the more that I've realized is that whenever there's someone that I don't like, there's a reason that always comes back to something that I don't like about myself. And
Mhm.
so I try to always remember that whenever somebody has something nasty to say about me, like that's usually representative of what they feel about themselves. And you know what? I'm going to just send you love because that's a really horrible thing to feel about yourself that you just said about me. And I'm going to let you go. I'm going to bless and release you and just send you love that. And I hope that you figure that out for yourself because that's really more about you. But it took me, a long time to get to that point. And it's much easier to say that hypothetically than whenever it's actually happening to you in real life.
Mhm.
But also, like, my favorite question is, okay, then what? You just go on with your life and you just keep going and you just keep showing up for the people who have wonderful things to say about you.
Exactly. You don't get to make massive impact in this world. And it's like you can only be as loved as you're willing to be hated. And I remember someone saying that to me, and I'm like, you're right. You're right. And so it's like you can only have that level of achievement where people love you deeply and not from a place of like pedestaled love, but from a deep appreciation and impact. And knowing exactly what you said, it's going to stir something in someone else that they don't like in themselves, that you've been willing to bet on yourself and go after the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just like if anyone ever says, like, she's bragging, it's like they're probably wishing that they could be a little more proud of what they've done and a little more
It's
like proud about it out loud about what they've done. And yeah, I think that that is like one of the greatest lessons that I have ever learned for sure.
And I think, the high levels of empathy is what allows you to do that. And so I think it all comes back to that where it's like, yeah, it has been my greatest obstacle, but it's also been my greatest asset because I understand what you're going through and therefore I'm actually releasing myself of taking on any of that burden. Like that is yours to take and I have love for you because I know that that probably really hurts. And so I wish you the best, but no, you can't. You can't come in and hurt me anymore. Like that's yours to take.
Yeah. So profound, so wise.
Delicious. Delicious.
Yes. Okay, so for anyone, I know we've kind of like covered this a little bit already, but if there's anyone who is really like struggling with owning their magic, owning their anomaly factor, what is your advice for that person who, maybe they're still really like living with that mask on?
Sure. So there's a couple of things. So I remember when I was like, girl, you got to drop the mask, you got to drop the facade. It almost was this black and white decision that I'm going to do it. And so it comes from first a level of self awareness of you start noticing when you're doing it, of like this person reacted like that. And it's like, ooh, how can I respond to make sure that I'm perceived in this way? So, first step is like that level of self awareness. And then saying, I'm not living like this anymore. And I remember showing up and you feel naked, but everything gets simpler because you're not trying to remember what version of you are. It's like you just get to say whatever comes to your mind. And it's not that we're dropping our filter of being a kind human being and, existing a human being existence, but it's like who am I really? Can I just be that person? And then what I would say about anomaly factor, which is really just your known factor. It's asking yourself the question, and this is kind of in the vein of personal brands or businesses. It's what do I want people to say about me when I'm not in the room? What do I want to be known for? How do I want people to feel when they are in the room with me? And so getting really clear on that and then recognizing that usually, and I explain this like a gemstone, where if you were to look at the big face of a gemstone, that's where most people are operating in their brands. It's like they're taking ownership over the face, but there's all these other brilliant facets. And so if we aren't owning all of these other facets, our audience is not perceiving us at that greatness, right? If we aren't perceiving ourselves that way. And so I always say you can only ever build your business and brand as far as the story you're telling yourself about identity will go, right? We can only build as far as our identity will take us. And so asking yourself, what is the thing that like my clients or my peers or my friends say to me behind my back of like, no one else has said that like you. No one else has made me understand XYZ like you have. That is usually the uncensored decision making lens that you should be taking ownership over in your brand. And so I'm going to give an example. About a year ago, someone told me, I had no fucking clue, Annie, that you were a VP, that you had a corporate role. And here you are, literally scaling to multi 5-figure cash months. Your clients are killing it, all these things. And you do this? Wait, and you also have 2 kids? And I was like, yeah, no big deal. And they're like, no, that's actually a really big deal. And that's actually part of your edge, is your capacity, is your ability to do that. And so I've started, it's not that my brand is about being a VP. My brand is about what it means to decide that you can have it all. And it's everything that you prioritize. And there comes pressure as a privilege. And so I started taking ownership over that, and that became part of my edge. That became my embodiment of being someone that deviates from the standard, of being exceptional. And so it's almost this my brand, and owning your anomaly is this permission slip to be too much, to be your damn self. And when you own that, then your audience can see you through all of those beautiful facets.
I love that. And how beautiful is it that what you are like, and I think that it seems to always work out this way. Like what you are helping women own, their anomaly factor, you had to own your own. You had to really own
My
that yourself to be able to help them with it. And like you are the living, breathing embodiment of what you teach.
Exactly. But there was a time that I tried to make my brand, it's like making fetch happen. I tried to become known. I tried to become known for my vehicle, which storytelling is like a pillar in my brand, but it's not what I'm doing, right? It's part of the mechanism with which I share. But I tried to become known as like the storytelling expert. And it's like you can't become known for a vehicle, for a way of doing things. You got to become known for who you are.
Yes. Just taking us to church.
Go to church, baby.
Yeah. No, I relate to that so much. I feel like for a really long time, I was becoming known and like really leaning into the SLP who was known for social media. And some people probably still know me as that. But what I really feel like the next iteration of my brand is Sarah, who helps us own our magic. And
Heck yes.
like I have to own my own to be able to help other people do that for themselves too. And whenever you can be the embodiment of your work, that's when you know that you're doing the work that you were put here to do. And I think that it is just so beautiful whenever people realize what that is and just lean all the way in. Because it would be easy for me to stay being the SLP who helps people with social media. It would be easy for me to do that. It would be easy for you to say, I'm here to teach you about storytelling, but the level of development within yourself and the level of trust within yourself that is required to do the work that you were put here to do, to really lean into your anomaly factor. That's the best part of it for me. That's the best part of it for anyone who decides to bet on themselves.
Agree. And I think it's just both of us, we probably resonate so much with each other is because we are the embodiment of not just caring about the income, because I had income the other way. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the trust and the discomfort that comes with I have to go all in on myself. Otherwise, I'll never know, right? I'll never know how good it can get. And yeah, uncomfortable it can get through the other side of that. And I can't live with that. And so it's this betting on ourselves again and again and again, and knowing that it's not going to be easy, but I wouldn't want it any other way. Like, yeah, this was maybe the easy way, but is it really that easy if it's unfulfilling, if your spark is gone? I mean, that's a no, dog.
That's a no for me, dog.
It's like the same, very similar in the sense of just taking ownership over that. And then how I teach the methodology is this is a good final thing where it's the embodiment lever is when pressure is applied on you and your business, does the integrity of what you say you stand for stand up? And so it's like, this is who I am. This is what I am. Are you owning it? And I think that's such a beautiful thing because you can tell when people are white knuckling it, trying to force and putting words out there, especially in your, with your background. It's like you can tell when the frequency isn't hitting. And that all comes back to a level of embodiment of it being the walking, talking billboard of that brand versus square peg round hole of storytelling or SLP with social media.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that when pressure is applied. And I think that is the perfect little nugget to leave people with. So I know that people are going to be listening and like, where do I get more Annie in my life? So where can they find you? Where can they connect with you?
My handle on Instagram is at Ann Whitney, and I have a free community called Untamed Women, where there are hours upon hours of juicy riffs about all of these topics that you can come and find me and come join my incredible community.
Amazing. Well, I will put a link for that in the description of this episode also, so they can come find you and just soak up your goodness. I actually was listening to one of your um, Telegram riffs the other day while I was doing laundry, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, Annie! Like this is it."
Oh, I love that.
It was amazing.
Love. Well,
Well,
thank
thank you
you.
so much. This was so good. I hope that other people that are listening connect with you and just soak up more of your goodness because you are such a gift, my friend.
Oh, right back at you. Cheers. And we need to chat more about our real meetup soon.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Thank you so much.
Bye. All right, fam, you know what to do. Rate the show, send to a friend, and make sure you subscribe and follow so you never miss the magic. See you next week.